Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to our first edition of the Consultant Spotlight. I am super excited to introduce to you one of our fabulous Scrum Masters, Miss Danyale Marshall. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this party started. Danielle, welcome. My name is Brian Markham. I'm sure you're probably wondering what this is all about. This is kind of not the norm for a typical IT consulting company or services firm. But the reality is we try to be different by celebrating our people. We want to help you all build your own brand and build your own skills within the communities, because at the end of the day, if we can help you, you'll help us. And it's the old golden rule, right? Um, and so I'm the CEO of Golden Technology, and it's an honor to speak with you. You are actually our very first candidate consultant interview. We went through all the internal corporate employees, and now we're trying to reach out to all of us. So, but I guess we'll start out typically by just saying welcome, and why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, you all know my name, Danyale Marshall. I am a lifelong Cincinnatian, born and raised there. I went to NKU for a little while there, so didn't go far at all from home. I pride myself in being an old Huckian. My dad's from Danville, Kentucky, and so we always frequented Danville, Kentucky growing up. So I was between Danville and Cincinnati, Ohio. Um,
Sure.
since I'm from Cincinnati, it's very important to know where you went to high school at. That's like a
That's
Cincinnati
right.
thing. I'm a graduate of Purcell Marion, so grew up in Walnut Hills also, basically on the same block as my school. So I'm definitely that hometown and neighborhood kid, basically. Started out my career with IT with Convergys, working as help desk support. And then it just allowed me to take a deep dive into what I'm really about. And my family background, to circle back to that, we're servitude entrepreneurs, barbers, and just good, hardworking people and always serving people. So customer service based activities have always been my jam. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what it is, I like to serve people and to help people figure it out. And then I found out about Scrum and Agile, and I realized that I've been this my entire life. I'm always trying to make someone's life easier. So it just became second nature to me to make it make sense. And so that's basically how my career began. And I'd say it started with that foundation of servitude and making people feel better about themselves, growing up in a barbershop.
Well, that is, I guess that is. I am speechless. Wow, your philosophy is exactly our culture of our company. If I could try to define it in a couple of minutes, it is. I found that the words that we use is empowering empathy. If you can empathize with somebody and feel what they're feeling and sense what they're sensing and then thinking what they're thinking, then you can help solve their problems and help guide them in the right path. And so, very
Absolutely.
fortunate, very blessed to have you on our team. So thank you very much. They did a good job of
Thank
recruiting
you.
you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm very glad to be here. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So what's your specific role right now with one of our clients?
Specifically, I am a Scrum Master. So, what I do is I empower and I coach individuals and teams in the organization on the practices of agility and Scrum framework. So, whether they do a typical Scrum team, which involves sprints, because you think of getting to destinations and you can do a marathon, which is way longer, or you can do it in sprints, which are short spurts of increments of time to get things accomplished. So
Sure.
I just champion people to get things done, and then I remove impediments the entire time, whatever they're facing. I'll reach out to other teams. I'll help them if it's breaking the code down. I'll make sure that people are in place. If I don't know what I'm doing, I'll make sure the right players are key and present to get the job done.
So what's life like as a Scrum Master with working from home in a COVID-19 world right now?
It is not bad. What's fortunate for me, I started out my career in Scrum with a company called Bridgeport Digital out of California. So I actually spent a nice chunk of my career remote anyway. So this wasn't foreign to my life when this
Yeah,
actually happened for COVID.
sure.
So I noticed that it was foreign for a lot of people because usually in Scrum you're hands on and you're in each other's faces at all times. So it was a little bit different for other people to adjust, but I didn't have an issue with it. The biggest impediment and what's different is people not being prepared. So I say like license and things like that to the technology that we actually need in place. Those
Sure.
are things that people are just now starting to really realize like, hey, well, if I do want to play a game, I probably need to get licensing from the company and permission first before I try to do this
Yeah.
cool remote game to raise morale. So it's small things like that where people need to just catch up with the times and the technology.
Especially supporting the bigger the organization, the more hoops you have to jump through to do some of that stuff, right?
Right, right, right.
Yeah. So
So,
how long have you been on this? How long have you been on this current assignment?
I've been on this assignment for about 7 months now.
7 months. So you
Yes.
you joined right in the heat of this pandemic, didn't you? You pretty much.
Right in the middle of it. Absolutely. Yep,
So one
summer.
interesting thing, you said you grew up in a barber shop, right? Is that what you said? So I
Yes, I
so
did.
I just a little side note, and this doesn't have to go in it can if you want, Michael, but as a side note, I lost this business after 9/11. To be My wife and I started this business back in 1997, and in 2001, after 9/11, uh, I had to figure out a way to financially provide for my family. So my dad had been working for 25 years at a barber repair and supply business. It was an Oster and Andes's repair center. So I actually bought that business, and I spent 2 years, 3 years repairing clippers, hanging out in barbershops, delivering products and materials. It was a small shop. There was only about 6 of us that worked there, but I got 3 years of working side by side with my dad, which he's gone now. So that was like, looking
Blessing.
back, that was a complete amazing blessing. But I have just a ridiculous amount of respect for the life of a barbershop. It just, you can't explain it until you go hang out in one for multiple times.
Yes, it's very nostalgic. Very
Have a
nostalgic. So
lot of good
yes.
friends, a lot of good friends for that time, and miss it. Unfortunately, it didn't pay a lot of money. I had to get
Right,
back.
right. You have to be passionate about it. Yes,
Yeah,
definitely. Well, in my
yeah,
family, it's a long line of barbers, and my father. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but he's Master Blaster, and
oh,
that's
yeah,
our family's barber shop. It's in Walnut Hills, and he's been around since the '60s, and at that location since '72.
yeah. I've
So
seen that
it's
name.
very near and dear to my heart.
Is he still around? Is your dad still around?
Yes, yes, he's
Is he?
86 years old and he's still a fixture. He goes in to the shop every day, but he doesn't really work as much. He just kind of
Yeah.
like is the consigliere, if you will. But my sister runs the shop and we have
So
another
you got to
employee in
ask
there.
if they've ever heard of a. You got to ask if they've ever heard of a company called Dick's Barber Supply, DIX Barber Supply. It's out of
Okay,
Clark.
I will.
I guarantee you, he has shipped clippers to Columbus to be repaired and sharpened. We did everything: sharpened shears, sharpened clippers, and I loved it. We used to fix
Yeah.
old barbershop chairs and the hydraulics on them. So,
Mm-hmm.
but so
Yeah,
anyhow,
that's
back
some
to
good stuff.
back to our IT world. But it's nice to find somebody. So tell us something a little interesting about yourself that maybe Well, obviously we don't know much yet, but something that we don't know about you yet.
Let's see. Oh gosh, there's so many quirky things about me. Um, a lot of people do not believe it, but I've had 37 car accidents. I've been in
Ooh,
37 car accidents. I didn't commit them, but that's always one of my things when like you play the game of two truths and one lie. Like no one ever again like, oh no, like yeah. I've been in
yeah.
37 car wrecks with people in by myself. So that's funny. And people don't trust me to drive, but I haven't been behind the wheel in many of them. It wasn't really my fault. I've just been within the car. So I know for a fact my life will not end in a car. So that's like a fun fact about me. You are safe if you get into a car accident and I'm in the car because there is something about me that is completely covered in a car. I don't know what it is,
There you
but
go. There you
I
go. I
like,
see you got the glass half full there.
yeah,
That's good.
I like to swim. I'm a daily
Yeah,
swimmer. So that's why I always have an afro because I swim almost every single day and I
yeah.
play chess almost every day. And I'm a golfer. Started out as a caddy for my dad and his friends, and I was like about 12 because they're cheap. And I fell in love with the sport, and I've been a golfer ever since. So
Awesome.
those are things that people really don't think, Danielle, but those are my jam.
Danielle, you are one fascinating human being. I think you're pretty cool.
Thank
That's a lot
you.
of fun stuff. My office overlooks a golf course, so as soon as this weather breaks, we'll have to go. It's over by where the Wetherington is up in Westchester, the
I
Wetherington Country
do. I
Club.
do.
All right. Well, we'll go have to swing.
Yes.
No, but I'm sure you're probably a better golfer than I am because I am a hack at
No,
golfing.
I'm not. I'm really not. It's horrible. I only use three things: my putter, my drive, and my 9 iron, and that's it. And like everybody
Yeah,
hates it. Like,
I'm a
what are you doing?
seven.
I'll use the driver until I get all the way up.
I remember my dad when
Yeah.
he got older, he would just use the 7 iron every swing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I'll use the driver until I'm basically right by the green, and then I'll use the 9 and get it on there. And then they're like, "What are you doing?" And like, yeah, my style is horrible. They say that I hit it like it's a hockey puck and everything. Like I'm the worst golfer ever. But I'm like, dude, I get the points. Like, don't worry about that. Just worry about the score. So
sure, sure.
yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about your experience. And to be very transparent, I use this time not just for marketing or to get this out there, is to learn more. Tell me personally, as the CEO of Golden, as to your experience with Golden. How and pluses and minuses. Danielle. I'm here to. I'd like to hear about your experiences and your interactions with our folks in the corporate office of Golden Technology.
The only minus that I have is that I sucked and I missed. I feel like I missed out on an opportunity to connect with people. It was like during one of, I believe, our Christmas but for some reason there was a hiccup with my technology or the timing. I don't
Oh,
know, but somehow I missed it. And I didn't get any type of follow up, but I feel like it was my fault because I didn't realize it until like an hour into it. Like, wait a minute, I think this is today, but for some reason I didn't follow up, and then I didn't know if it really actually happened. So that was the only minus for me. But again, that was on me. From the company, I don't have any complaints whatsoever. Everyone has been very, very straightforward, open, and communicative. I mean, we communicate daily if we need to, but Sheila and Tim have been the two people that have reached out to me the most, to make certain that I'm on track, to see if I need anything. And I can reach out to them also. When I had an issue, I reached out to Sheila. We have each other's phone numbers. So the company has been great as far as the way that we communicate with each other. Whenever there is something going on, you all let us know immediately and you follow up. So I don't have any complaints, and that's been my experience. It just seems
great,
like you all care, and so that's something that I haven't really received, especially from a recruiting firm. Before, it's just kind of like you get lost in the shuffle. You're out there, you're just an employee somewhere, and then you don't really hear from your recruiters anymore or the people that you actually work for. So it's very
yeah,
refreshing to have that relationship.
fair enough. Good, good, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, Sheila is. Sheila is a very, very good human being and a resource manager. She refers to herself as the mama bear of the company, you know. But all right, so yeah, it's a bummer that we did not get to connect on the holiday party, but and obviously the current state that we're in right now has caused us to not be together like I really, really wanted to. You know, prayers and hopes are that by this fall, you know, we can perhaps get together. What we typically do is we have a really nice fall party where we either go to. Last year we went to 2 years ago. We went to a one of the local parks and just barbecued, had some Indian food, American food, and just barbecued. Played lots of fun games. We've gone to Kings Island before and taken the families to Kings Island, and so we'll hit that up again this fall, God willing. And then we usually have a pretty good Christmas holiday party that's a lot of fun, and we try to check in on a quarterly basis. We're hoping to build like communities of technologists. So you, along with all the other Scrum Masters and the product owners, to bring you all together maybe once a quarter or even once a month if you guys want to just share ideas, share thoughts, share best practices, because we want to help you guys grow. And so,
Thank you.
but yeah.
Thank
So
you.
you went to Purcell, is that right?
Yes, I did.
I'm a
Cavalier.
I'm a Columbus boy. So when I came down here, at the time I was doing market research on Cincinnati, and the best word I came up with was xenophobic, which means scared of outsiders. Because it seems like I had to get used to like what school you're from. I went to Ohio State. No, what high school are you from?
Yeah, yeah. Penn State, Ohio State. Yeah, that's why I said Cincinnati. We don't care about college. Like, people go to college, but they really want to know, what school you went to. And it's weird because I found out that answers everything for people, like your economic status, like if your family was Christian enough. I'm like, how do people take these deep dives just off of high schools?
Yes.
But they do like, oh, elder. I'm like,
Oh, you're one of
here we
those guys.
go, Cincinnati. Yeah, yeah, you're like those guys. You're from the West Side. You this is like, how do you know this?
Yeah, yeah. Well, if somebody was just, let's get back to Scrum Master real quick. If somebody was considering, I've been in the Agile space for a long time myself, but if somebody was looking to make their way up to more of the functional positions, product owner, Scrum Master, from maybe a developer or an analyst type role, um, how did you get your start in the space, and how would you recommend others to kind of get a start in the Scrum Master space?
I got my start because I was really nosy and proactive. So I started out just trying to figure out how can I make this better? Like what makes the most sense? And then I started noticing that our team didn't do things in the right order. So then I'm like, hey, well, why did we start writing tests instead of just trying to do it first and see what works? And so when I started asking those questions, then I was approached by the owner of our company, like, hey, I think you're really good at prioritizing things. Do you want to look into becoming a product owner? And I'm like, I don't think so. I have no idea. I don't
Yeah.
really want that responsibility. I got scared. And so I started as a product owner. And then when I became a product owner, the, the owner of our company told me I sucked. And I was the scrum master. And so I didn't understand that. But every time it was the end of our sprints and everything, time to deliver something, I would make up the excuses, like, hey, they have a lot going on. Like, Jim's mom is in the hospital, and so like I knew everyone's business as far as why they couldn't deliver. And I understood. And he was like, you're my product owner though. You're not supposed to care. You're supposed to just get it done and make sure I get what I want. Like, do you serve them or do you serve me? And so I'm like, wow, I guess I serve them. And he was like, yeah, then you're fired as the product owner, but you're not fired from the company. And that was what was fortunate, right? Because I completely sucked at being a product owner. So that's how I got into it, because first I cared about the prioritization, but then I realized I cared about the process and how people really were.
Yeah.
So the way that I got into it was a little bit different, but I immediately jumped into a product owner role and then realized that I was a Scrum Master.
Sure.
So I would say for people that's coming into this from a development side, you have to figure out what you care about most. Do you care about how the people get it done or just the end result of it being completed? And
Sure.
then that'll let you know whether or not if you're a product owner or a Scrum Master, because I care about the process and making sure that people aren't wasting time doing things the dumb way or wasting time doing things the long way. So that's what I
What
care
would you
most
say
about.
is what would you say is the top one, two, or three, one or two things as to why projects fail or get delayed?
Because people are full of crap and they don't want to admit that they don't know the answer.
Yeah.
And so then they're
Yeah.
delayed.
Love it.
And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, I don't know how to do this. And it's like, why didn't you tell me that 2 weeks ago instead of 2 days before? Because you were
Yeah.
embarrassed and ashamed, and that was stupid. So I think that's the biggest reason why things fail. People are afraid to state their ignorance. And then it comes down to resources and things of that after the fact. But first, usually it's the ego of being embarrassed to say, I don't know.
Sure.
So,
It's
yeah.
people have a tendency of over promising and under delivering on the individual level, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's
And it's usually just that simple, you know, like they just don't know. And it's okay to think you can take something on, but then it's not okay to realize like, hey, I can't
for
do
the
this. And now how do I get myself out of this?
yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Well, Danielle, that's all the questions I have. I well, thank you very, very much. It's been an absolute honor to get to know you. I can tell you, Sheila's talked a lot about you in our meetings, and so and your reputation, probably good reputation, precedes you.
Thank
You
you.
you lived up to the hype. But
Oh,
any
thank you very much.
no problem. Any questions for me?
Um, just as far as the expansion on the Agile community here, I would love to know who the other Scrum Masters are. Do we have some type of newsletter or something with all of our information? But just to have that community start, I'm really excited to get into that. So whenever you all get that started, I would love to be
Yeah,
a part of that community. And whatever we have to do, lunch and
absolutely.
learns or whatever, I'm really excited to get to know the people that work at Golden and the Scrum Masters and product owners. So I'm excited
Yeah,
about that.
I think that is the next phase. So Sheila moved into this role prior to October, November. She was kind of, we referred to her as the Kroger account manager. Now she's kind of the resource manager over everybody, uh, and in that role, her next evolving role will be to get those groups of people together, whether it's development or security infrastructure or testing or functional skill sets. So I'd say by the Q2 of this year, you should see kind of those conversations coming out, because yes, I want to build a body of competencies, because what we're trying to do as an organization is we're trying to um, build more competencies around service offerings. So, for instance, right now we are an IT staffing company. We do have some expertise in testing and quality assurance. We have some expertise in application development lifecycle. So the whole lifecycle, Scrum, PO, development, testing, release management. We can do the whole turnkey stuff, but
Mhm.
we want to if there are service offerings around product management, program management, Scrum Master type skill sets that we can go to other clients and say, we've got this body of skills here, and or we can go to Kroger or some of our bigger accounts, 84, and just say, hey, we can take on this chunk for you. We can become a functional office where we do more statement of work as opposed to bodies. And so anytime that we want a consultant to step up and want to be a part of that, the opportunities are there to be a lead in one of those spots. And obviously there's profit sharing and all that fun stuff that goes along with building those things out. I've been doing this for a long time, so I just get excited, and I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I like trying new things. So
that's very cool. Well, I can say this to, I guess, just end off my statements. We were in a meeting with Kroger, and everyone was there. They're like, oh, okay, does everyone have the invite? And then they were like, wait a minute, is this just for associates? And they were like, it's all associates in here. And then I was like one of the only contractors. They were like, oh, no, Danielle's a contractor. She's in here. And then this guy, Ryan, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, I actually don't want to work for Kroger. I like my company. And then everybody did this pearl clutch, oh, wait a minute, what? You don't want, and I was like, no, I'm just I was extended for another year and a half. I really like my company. And that was the first time that I've ever said that and had that response. Usually when that conversation comes up, I'm like, yeah, I'm not one of you guys, but my response immediately was, hey, I like my company. So that's kudos to you all. That's the first time that's ever happened in my consulting.
Yes. We're really trying to be something different because I don't want to be a paycheck to somebody. I want to be a part of their future. And so I'd say welcome, but you've already been here for 7 months, but it's finally a pleasure to meet you. And once we get this stupid COVID out of the way, we'll have to get together, break some bread, and have some fun. Maybe go golfing.
Awesome. I look forward to it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Really appreciate it. Well, that's a wrap, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the conversation there with Miss Danyale Marshall, one of our fabulous Scrum Masters. I am so excited. We are totally blessed to have her as part of our team. I am so excited to start doing these interviews with our consultants. We're calling it our Consultant Spotlight. But just an opportunity to get to know our extended family members and to get to know everything that Golden Technology has to offer. So that's a wrap. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that like button, and click that follow button, as I would love for you all to get to hear about future upcoming events when we're interviewing more people. Have a great day, folks.